The world doesn't play fair. You can work hard, stay loyal, play honest, and still someone less deserving takes your place.
That's reality.
The ones who cry about it become victims. The ones who learn from it, they survive.
And those who survive,
they rule. This is dark intelligence, the ability to stay quiet when others panic, to calculate when others explode, and to strike when the timing is perfect. While most people are playing checkers, you're about to learn chess, and today I'll reveal 8 psychological traits that separate survivors from victims, leaders from followers, winners from losers. Once you understand them, you'll never see people the same way again. Point 1. Calculated opacity. If you want power, the first rule is this: never let the world read you like an open book. Because the moment people know everything about you, your plans, your fears, your weaknesses, you've already lost. Think about it. Most people feel obligated to explain themselves. Somebody asks, "So what are your plans this weekend?"
And what do they say? "Oh, I'll just stay home, watch a movie, maybe grab some food." That's complete transparency.
And completely forgettable. Now imagine a different answer. "I have something important to take care of." And then silence. Instantly, curiosity is born. Their mind starts racing. What is he doing? Who is he meeting? Why is it important? You didn't lie.
You didn't hide.
You just left a gap. And here's the secret. The human brain hates gaps. It fills them with imagination. And imagination is always more powerful than explanation. This is what I call calculated opacity, revealing just enough to stay interesting, but never enough to lose your advantage. Machiavelli understood this when he said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be.
Few experience what you really are." The most intriguing people you know, they never tell you everything.
They smile when you expect them to explain. They answer questions with questions. They leave their stories unfinished. And because of that, you can't stop thinking about them. But here's the trap most people fall into. They mistake oversharing for honesty. They think telling people every detail builds trust. It doesn't. It only makes you predictable.
And predictable people?
They're easy to control. Calculated opacity isn't about lying. It's about strategic communication. It's about controlling the narrative so you decide what people see and what they don't. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you reveal less, your presence feels more valuable. Ask yourself, do you want to be the person everyone thinks they fully understand?
Or the one they can't quite figure out, the one they respect because they never know what's coming?
Here's the punchline. Your information is your currency. Don't spend it all at once. Keep some in reserve. Let curiosity do the work for you, because mystery doesn't make you weak, and it makes you magnetic. And when people can't read you, they can't control you. Point 2, adaptive persona. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. The version of you that treats everyone the exact same way will always lose. Why? Because not everyone speaks the same language. If you want power, you have to master adaptive persona, shifting how you present yourself depending on who's in front of you. Now, before you think, isn't that fake? No, it's not being fake, it's being effective. You already do it naturally. You talk to your grandmother differently than you talk to your best friend. You act differently in a job interview than you do at a party. That's not dishonesty, that's intelligence. Machiavelli himself said, "A prince ought to appear merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious." Notice the word appear. He understood that perception shapes reality. Think about water. Put it in a glass, it takes the shape of a glass. Pour it in a bottle, it takes the shape of a bottle. Freeze it, it becomes ice. Boil it, it becomes steam. But through every transformation, it's still water. That's what an adaptive persona is. You change shape depending on the situation, but you never stop being you. The problem is, most people resist this. They think being authentic means acting the same in every situation. But here's the twist. True authenticity isn't about being the same everywhere. It's about being true to your core values while expressing yourself in the way that connects best. Here's how it looks in real life. Talking to an analytical person, you use facts, logic, data.
Talking to someone emotional.
You connect with feelings. Talking to a visionary, you paint the big picture. Talking to a practical mind, you show how it works step by step. That's not manipulation. That's Communication intelligence. Think about the people who can walk into any room and instantly connect with everyone.
It's not luck, and it's adaptability.
They make people feel understood because they know how to shift gears without losing themselves. Here's the punchline. Rigid people break. Adaptive people rise. Be like water. Take the shape you need, but never lose your essence. When you master adaptive persona, you stop forcing people to understand you.
And instead, you make it impossible for them to ignore you.
Point 3, the principle of detachment. If you really want freedom, you have to master one skill, detachment. Because the truth is simple. The things you're terrified of losing are the very things that control you. Look around. People stay stuck in jobs they hate because they're afraid of losing that paycheck. They stay chained to toxic partners because they're afraid of being alone. They say yes when they want to scream no because they're afraid of losing approval. That fear of loss is the leash wrapped around their neck, and someone else is holding it. Detachment is cutting that leash. It doesn't mean you stop caring.
It doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you refuse to be a slave to desperation.
It means you're willing to walk away if respect isn't on the table. Think about negotiations. Person A needs the deal.
They're desperate.
They've already planned their future around it. Person B wants the deal, but they don't need it. They have other options. Who holds the power? Person B, every single time. Because the person who can walk away always controls the terms. Machiavelli warned us centuries ago. It is far safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And here's the hidden meaning. Fear isn't about cruelty, it's about independence. When people know you're not terrified of losing them, they treat you with respect. When they sense you'll do anything to keep them, they use you. Here's the paradox. The less you need something, the easier it comes to you. The less you chase love, the more attractive you become. The less you beg for respect, the more people respect you. The less you cling to opportunity, the more opportunities appear. Detachment gives you clarity.
It strips away the fog of fear and lets you see the truth.
You stop settling for crumbs. You stop compromising your values. You stop letting other people dictate your worth. Here's the punchline. The world belongs to the person who can walk away. Care deeply, but never cling desperately.
Because the second they know you don't need them,
that's the second you become untouchable. Point 4, silent leverage. Most people think power is loud. They think it's about raising your voice, making demands, flexing in front of everyone. But that's not power, that's theater.
Real power?
It whispers. It's quiet. It's the kind of influence that bends the entire room without you saying a single word. That's what I call silent leverage. Think about the last time someone stayed silent in a conversation after being asked a tough question.
Notice how uncomfortable the silence got.
Everyone else scrambled to fill the gap with words. They revealed more than they wanted to. They gave away information. Meanwhile, the silent person walked out with leverage. Here's the principle. The less pressure you apply directly, the more powerful your presence becomes. Instead of telling people what to do, you create situations where doing what you want is their best option. Instead of begging for respect, you become indispensable so people give you respect without you asking. Let's break it down with examples. Conversations. Most people rush to answer every question. But if you pause, if you let silence breathe, people lean in. They reveal more. Your eventual words carry double the weight. Negotiations, you don't have to threaten to walk away. Just having real alternatives changes everything. Your quiet willingness to leave forces the other person to sweeten the deal. Relationships. Instead of demanding loyalty, you build so much value that people want to keep you around. Your silence becomes heavier than anyone else's words. Machiavelli once wrote, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." Silent leverage is dangerous, Wax, but in your favor.
Because you're not rushing, you're waiting.
You're letting others show their hand while you keep yours close. The key is patience.
Most people crave instant gratification.
They want quick wins, immediate validation, fast respect. But silent leverage works like compounding interest. You plant seeds, you wait. And over time, the quiet presence you've built makes people look to you, follow you, and even fear disappointing you without you ever demanding it. Here's the punchline. Loud power brags. Quiet power lasts. When you master silent leverage, your words become rarer, your presence heavier, and your influence unstoppable. Because sometimes the strongest move is no move at all. Point 5. Psychological echo. If you want real influence, forget being the loudest voice in the room. Power doesn't come from talking more. It comes from making people feel deeply understood. And that's where psychological echo comes in. Here's the truth. Every single person you meet is silently asking 3 questions. Do you see me?
Do you understand me?
Do you value me? If you can make them feel yes to all 3, you become unforgettable. Most people are terrible at this. They listen only to reply. They're busy waiting for their turn to talk. But the few who master psychological echo,
They listen to understand.
they don't just hear the words, they hear the need behind the words, the fear behind the anger, the desire behind the complaint. Let me give you an example. Someone says, "I hate my job." A normal person might say, "Then quit," or give career advice. But someone with dark intelligence listens deeper. They know this isn't just about work. It's about feeling unappreciated, unchallenged, stuck. Instead of shallow advice, they might respond, "Sounds like you're not being valued for what you bring to the table." Instantly, the other person feels seen. And when people feel seen, they trust you. Machiavelli captured this perfectly. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are. Echoing someone's truth makes you one of the rare few who actually know. Here's why this works. People are wired to crave validation. When you reflect their emotions back to them, not in a manipulative way, but in a sharp, accurate way, they feel a magnetic pull toward you. They start opening up more. They start trusting your judgment. They start looking to you as someone who gets it when no one else does. But here's the warning. Never use this to exploit. If you reflect back people's fears only to control them, you'll become a manipulator, and manipulators eventually get exposed. The ethical way is to use this tool to connect, to guide, to lead. Here's the punchline. People don't follow the smartest person in the room. They follow the one who understands them the most. Master psychological echo, and you'll never have to beg for influence. People will hand it to you. Point 6. Ambiguous morality. Here's a truth that makes most people uncomfortable. The real world doesn't run on black and white. It runs in shades of grey. And if you want to survive in that grey, you have to master ambiguous morality. See, most people are obsessed with looking good. They want everyone to think they're kind, honest, pure. But here's the catch. Sometimes doing the nice thing destroys people. Sometimes protecting the many means making a hard call that hurts the few. Sometimes being too soft is actually cruelty in disguise. Machiavelli said, "It is safer to be feared than loved when one must be lacking." He wasn't saying you should be evil. He was pointing to the brutal reality that leaders who try to please everyone end up protecting no one. Let's get practical. Imagine you're leading a team and one member is toxic, lying, damaging trust, dragging everyone down. The nice move? Give them another chance. Be patient. Hope they improve. But while you're protecting one, you're letting the rest suffer. The ambiguous morality choice? Remove them quickly. It feels harsh in the moment, but it protects the whole.
That's not cruelty.
That's strategic ethics, or think about a friend in a destructive relationship.
The easy move? Nod, smile, tell them, you do what makes you happy. But real morality might mean saying what they don't want to hear. This is destroying, hurts in the short term,
saves them in the long term. That's what ambiguous morality is about. Judging actions not by how good they look, but by the outcomes they create. It's about asking, what choice protects the bigger picture? What decision serves the greater good, even if it makes me unpopular right now? Here's the warning. Ambiguous morality isn't a license to be selfish or cruel. It's not an excuse to do whatever benefits you. It's about carrying the weight of tough choices when others are too scared. It's about refusing to play the nice card when nice means weak. Here's the punchline. People may not always like the decisions you make, but they'll respect the strength it takes to make them. In a world full of people desperate to be liked, Be the one willing to walk through the grey, because real power lives there. Point 7. Controlled exposure. In a world where everyone is oversharing every detail of their lives, their meals, their feelings, their secrets, the rarest person in the room is the one who knows when to stay silent. That's the power of controlled exposure. Most people think telling everything makes them authentic. They think if they share their whole life, people will respect them more. But here's the dark truth. The more you reveal, the less valuable your information becomes. The less mystery you hold, the easier you are to read, predict,
and manipulate. Machiavelli warned us, and are so simple of mind and so dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful person will always find plenty ready to be deceived.
People believe what you show them, and if you show too much, you give them the tools to play you. Here's how controlled exposure works. You reveal just enough to keep people curious, but never enough to lose your advantage. It's not lying, it's strategy. It's leaving gaps that their imagination will fill. And imagination is always more powerful than your explanation. Think about the most magnetic people you know. They don't dump their life story in the first 5 minutes. They don't answer every question directly. They share in layers. Every conversation feels like peeling back a page. And because of that, you can't stop turning the next one. Let's get practical. At work, don't reveal all your ideas at once. Unfold them strategically so your value keeps growing. In relationships, don't hand someone every detail of your past on day one. Build it slowly. Let trust and curiosity grow together. On social media, don't broadcast every thought and every move. Keep some mystery. Make people wonder. Controlled exposure isn't about being secretive for the sake of it.
It's about managing your narrative.
Because once something is out, you can't take it back. Your information is your currency. Spend it slowly, wisely, and strategically. Here's the punchline. The less people know, the more they assume. And in those assumptions, you gain the upper hand. When everyone else is screaming for attention by oversharing, your silence will make you unforgettable. Point 8. Outcome obsession. Here's the final trait that separates winners from losers. Outcome obsession. And this one's a game changer. Most people get stuck in distractions. They want to look smart, sound clever, or prove they're right. They waste hours arguing online, flexing for approval, defending their ego. But here's the harsh truth. Being right doesn't matter if you don't get results. You can win the argument and still lose the war. Outcome-obsessed people think differently. They don't ask, how do I look in this situation? They ask, what result do I want and what action gets me there? That one shift changes everything. Take arguments. Average people argue to win points. Outcome-obsessed people argue to create change. If the goal is to change someone's behavior, they don't humiliate them. They guide them to see the truth themselves. If the goal is to protect a relationship, they don't fight to be right. They fight to find a solution or take work. Most people confuse being busy with being productive. They brag about working late, answering emails at midnight, looking exhausted. But outcome-obsessed people know better. They focus on the 20% of actions that drive 80% of the results. They cut noise. They cut fluff. They go straight for impact. Machiavelli said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present," meaning the world doesn't reward effort. It rewards outcomes.
History doesn't remember who tried.
It remembers who delivered. Here's the secret. Outcome obsession makes you unstoppable because it forces adaptability. You stop clinging to methods that don't work. If plan A fails, you pivot. If one door closes, you find another. You're not married to the process. You're married to the result. But here's the warning. Don't let outcome obsession turn you into a machine that destroys everything in its path. Build your values into your definition of success. Because results without integrity are just empty wins. Here's the punchline. Losers waste time proving they're right. Winners obsess over what works. So stop chasing applause. Stop chasing approval. Start chasing outcomes. Because at the end of the day, people don't remember who talked the best. They remember who won. Closing. So here's the truth. The world will never play fair. But now you hold the 8 traits of dark intelligence, calculated opacity, Adaptive persona, detachment, silent leverage, psychological echo, ambiguous morality, controlled exposure, and outcome obsession. Use them wisely.
Not to destroy, but to protect.
Not to manipulate, but to rise above manipulation. Because while others waste their lives chasing approval, you'll be building power. While they're stuck playing checkers, you'll be 3 moves ahead in chess. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Don't wait until life breaks you to learn these lessons. Start now. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I choose strategy over emotion. I choose power over approval.
I choose dark intelligence.